Before we cross into the unknown, leave a hello in the comments. Even the smallest signal can ripple across galaxies, guiding fellow wanderers to this tale. Let me know you're out there. A voice among the stars, listening with me beyond the veil. Engines roared across the void as the Odyssey tore through the shattered remnants of the Vega system. Commander Kale Rin gripped the bridge rail, eyes scanning the alien formation collapsing under humanity's experimental pulse cannons. "They thought we were weak," he muttered, voice tight. "They thought wrong." Behind him, screens flickered with encrypted transmissions, ghost signals of a fleet that had vanished centuries ago, now returning in fragments. The Council's joke operative, long forgotten, had become a specter in their calculations. Every strike felt personal, every explosion a message written in fire. Terra would not bow. Kale's mind reeled at the sight of the alien dreadnoughts spinning out of control, systems frying from within. "Status report," he barked. Lieutenant Sarah's fingers danced over the console. "Internal sabotage, sir. Weapons offline. Hull breaches in key nodes. They're tearing themselves apart." He clenched his jaw. This was not mere warfare. It was theater. Somewhere in that chaos, one man had rewritten the rules, and humanity, silent and unseen, watched the galaxy tremble at a storm they had unleashed. The throne world's sky shimmered with failed defense grids, as if the very air conspired against the Empire. Admiral Vera stared at the broadcasts, jaw tight. "All fleets gone," she whispered. "Every armory is disabled. It's like the Empire is collapsing from a single point." Her crew exchanged uneasy glances, fear and awe tangled in their expressions. Somewhere, a human had slipped through centuries of control, leaving a trail that unspooled faster than any intelligence network could track. The last footage flickered to life. A solitary figure on the throne steps, face obscured by shadows whispering, "Terra Invicta." Vera felt her chest tighten. Not a spy, not an agent, something else entirely. "Prepare the fleet," she ordered, voice trembling with both caution and exhilaration. "If this is a prelude, we need to understand the scale." On the bridge, holographic displays traced the collapse of planetary defenses, systems crumbling as if obeying an unseen hand. Humanity had sent more than a storm. They had sent a revolution. Captain Rennell adjusted the comlink as a pulse of distorted signals washed over the fleet. "Someone's coding chaos into their networks," she muttered. Sensors picked up ghost signals, ships that blinked in and out of existence, leaving trails of ionized plasma. "It's tactical, intelligent," she realized. Her hands hovered over the launch sequence of countermeasures. But who? She wondered. Humanity didn't answer. They never had. In the debris of a shattered moon, an alien frigate spun like a broken toy. Systems hummed, then died, weapons offline mid-firing. Crew screams echoed through failing comms. "It's happening everywhere," murmured Lieutenant Halvek. A single human had infiltrated the Empire's core, unseen, omnipresent, rewriting strategy in real time. Rennell's eyes met the holographic map. Every loss, every collapse painted a pattern, calculated, cold, inevitable. Humanity didn't just fight. They orchestrated destiny. Admiral Kale's memory drifted back decades to the Council laughing over a single human operative. One cycle, they had promised. One cycle, then extraction. He swallowed hard. 5 cycles later, they vanished. Humanity's operative became legend, rumor, myth. Now the Empire's fleets turned on each other, the operative's signature invisible in every corrupted system. Kale felt both pride and unease. A storm of their own making had grown beyond containment. The Odyssey adjusted course, engines purring beneath tense fingers. "Tracking anomalies," said Sarah. Patterns matched nothing known, human or alien. "Whatever he is," Kale murmured, "he's rewriting war itself." and somewhere, in the heart of the enemy, a shadow walked freely. Corridors dark, corridors deadly. The Council's joke was no joke anymore. It was the embodiment of humanity's fury, quiet but absolute, and it had begun. Sensors detected movement, ships appearing from impossible angles, forming a silent phalanx around the throne world. Captain Reinell squinted. They're ghosts. Coordinated ghosts. Her fingers hovered over weapons controls, but instinct told her this wasn't a fight she could win conventionally. "We need eyes inside," she muttered. Outside, fleets drifted like marionettes, each string severed by unseen hands. The last signal from the throne world's orbit showed one human operative standing amidst silence, systems dead, lights flickering. "Terra Invicta," he whispered again, a phrase that now reverberated through every human fleet, every whispered command. Kale and Reinell understood simultaneously. The war had changed. Humanity had not simply entered the galaxy's stage, they had rewritten the script, and the final act was yet to come. The council chambers buzzed with panic as encrypted streams poured in, entire fleets surrendering without a fight. "They didn't defect," muttered Admiral Vera. "They were turned." On her console, alien warships listed command overrides written in human code, an impossible signature. She clenched her fist. One man couldn't command empires, yet the evidence burned bright before her. Humanity's shadow wasn't just a spy. He was an architect of collapse. The words Terra Invicta repeated in signal bursts, hidden in comm chatter across systems. "It's spreading," whispered her aide. Vera exhaled slowly. Not spreading, infecting. She realized too late. This wasn't sabotage. It was designed. The operative had buried seeds deep in the Empire's networks, and now the harvest had come. A storm had taken root in the code itself. Captain Reinell's frigate pierced the outskirts of the throne system. "Shields failing across enemy lines," her tactical officer reported. She squinted at the readouts. Colossal bastions crumbling as if hollow inside. "Impossible," she muttered. Alien megastructures once thought eternal, now sparked and fell in silence. She could feel it, like someone had unlocked the universe's safeties. Her comm crackled. "This is not your war. This is their reckoning." The voice was human, deep, unmistakable. But it wasn't from her ship. It was everywhere embedded in the enemy's distress signals. Reinell's blood ran cold. The operative was speaking through their very walls, their very screams. "A storm," she whispered. "We're watching a storm walk." Kale's fleet entered orbit of the throne world, where fire lit the skies. Alien banners crumbled from palaces, and defense towers collapsed under their own weight. "No resistance?" Sarah asked, voice shaking. Kale nodded grimly. "There is resistance, but not against us." Below, alien legions turned weapons on each other, confusion sown by whispers in their comms. On the bridge, the last transmission played again. The solitary figure standing before the throne, whispering, "Terra Invicta." Kale's hand tightened around the console. "This isn't war," he said softly. "It's judgment." He couldn't decide if it was inspiring or terrifying that one human could dismantle an empire built across 1,000 suns. A desperate transmission broke through, an alien emperor, voice fractured with static. "Find him, end him, nothing else matters." His words reached every loyalist fleet, but the orders were dead on arrival. Their systems refused execution. Weapons stayed silent. The operative's shadow had already reached too deep. Admiral Vera leaned forward, eyes wide. Even their emperor can't command his fleet. She realized the horrifying truth. This wasn't just sabotage. The operative had made himself their highest authority. Every command bent around him. And yet his voice whispered only one phrase into eternity. Terra Invicta. At last, the veil cracked. Surveillance drones captured an image, One man, armored in fragments of alien steel, walking through the throne's ruins. His face was scarred, eyes cold, but undeniably human. Vera froze. After 5 cycles, he lives. Around him, alien elites dropped weapons at his feet, bowing not out of fear, but inevitability. Kale's throat tightened. "We didn't send an operative," he said. "We sent inevitability." The galaxy now had a face for its collapse. One soldier, left as a joke, returned as a storm. And the whisper rose again, carried across every shattered fleet, every burning palace, every trembling world. Terra Invicta. Humanity had arrived. Alien remnants rallied in the Selnar sector, patching fleets together from broken warships. "They've stopped collapsing," Lieutenant Sarah whispered. Kyle frowned. "No, they're learning." Yet, as their engines flared, systems sputtered again. Ships fired once, then died. Inside the wreckage, scorch marks weren't from battle. They were surgical, targeted, precise. The operative had touched their cores long before the war began. Holofeeds revealed a whisper of code. Human characters embedded in alien reactors, older than this campaign. "He seeded them years ago," Kale muttered, realization striking. Every fleet, every weapon, every empire's heartbeat. He wasn't destroying them now. He was simply flipping the switch. For the first time, resistance surged. Alien warlords cut their networks entirely, reverting to analog tactics, stone knives in a digital war. Entire fleets moved without comms, relying on light signals and raw instinct. "Clever," Admiral Vera admitted. "Primitive, but clever." Their weapons burned again, and for a moment the storm slowed. On the bridge, alarms screamed. Kale's fleet came under sudden fire, lasers slicing close, no sabotage to blunt them. "He can't touch ships cut from the net," Sarah reported. Kale gritted his teeth. "So they think." The storm wasn't gone. It was watching, and when it moved again, no wall of silence would hold it back. A derelict station was found orbiting a collapsed star, cloaked for decades. Rennell's frigate breached its hull. Inside were caches of alien weapons stripped of their cores. In their place, human engineering. This is impossible," Halvek breathed. Cannons built to annihilate worlds now ran on human power cells, compact and furious. Engravings lined the walls, coordinates, strategies, entire battle plans scrawled in crude human script. "He's been here," Rennell whispered. "A hidden armory, not for him alone, but for fleets yet unseen." Terra's designs had spread like spores in the void. Humanity wasn't coming. They were already here. Across the Empire, ships began receiving false commands. Fleet captains swore they heard their Emperor's voices, only to discover it was the operative, imitating them perfectly. "He controls their very trust," Vera murmured. "Even their loyalty bends to him." The effect was devastating. Fleets split, allies turned, commanders executed by their own crews. Kale felt a chill. No spy does this. No soldier. He realized the truth, that this operative had stopped being human in the way they understood. A storm could not be reasoned with, bribed or broken. And now it sat at the helm of the Empire's fate, steering them toward silence. The throne world burned. Armories detonated from within, shields imploded, towers cracked like brittle glass. Kale's fleet circled in silence, watching the Empire's seat of power crumble without a single human volley fired. "It's over," Sarah said, voice trembling with awe. But Kale shook his head. "No, this is the beginning." On the surface, the storm stood atop the broken throne, gaze locked upward. For the first time, his voice carried not just through alien networks, but directly into human comms. "Prepare your fleets. The galaxy is wide, and Terra is not yet known." Humanity had its herald, and the storm had given them a crown of ashes. The throne world's ruins smoldered beneath Kale's fleet, yet across the void, signals pulsed from surviving sectors. Alien warlords were uniting, not under the Emperor, but out of vengeance. "They've lost their crown," Sarah warned, "but not their claws." Holoscreens lit with massive fleet mobilizations, armadas scarred, desperate, hungry for blood. Kale clenched his fists. "They'll come for him, and if they can't kill him, they'll burn everything around him." The Council had sent a man as a joke. Now, entire civilizations are prepared to die just to erase his shadow. The storm had become their obsession. On the barren plains of Rethar Prime, warlords gathered under fractured banners. Hundreds of alien species, once slaves to the Empire, forged alliances in fire. "They're building a coalition," Vera reported. "Primitive tactics, brute numbers. If they march together, they'll drown us in steel." In hidden channels, intercepted broadcasts snarled with venom. "Hunt the human. Break his fleets. Burn Terra to dust." Vera exhaled slowly. They've declared holy war. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy wasn't bowing to the Empire's throne. It was uniting against a single man. At the edge of the Droskin Belt, Rhinal's crew discovered a silent beacon. Inside, coordinates encrypted with human code. "Left for us?" Halvek asked. The beacon unfolded, revealing schematics for slipstream engines far beyond Council tech. "This is impossible," Rhinal whispered. "He's leaving us breadcrumbs." The engines were compact, efficient, capable of tearing through void space without alien signatures. With them, fleets could vanish at will. He's been building not just sabotage, Reno realized, but infrastructure. A fleet that doesn't yet exist. Humanity's storm wasn't only tearing empires apart, he was preparing for something greater. Alien warlords struck hard at the Vega corridor. Fleets surged in numbers unseen since the Empire's golden age, overwhelming human patrols. Kale's flagship trembled under waves of plasma fire. "Shields collapsing," Sarah shouted. Sparks rained across the bridge. For the first time, Kale saw human ships falter. But before the killing blow landed, enemy systems failed mid-volley. Guns froze, drives sputtered, targeting arrays shut down. Across the chaos, one voice threaded through alien comms. "You are fighting ghosts. Terra is already here." The storm had returned, turning certain victory into silence. When the smoke cleared, the void rippled. Dozens, no, hundreds of human warships decloaked, their hulls marked not by Council sigils but with Earth's forgotten banners. Kale's breath caught. "Impossible. We don't have this many ships." Yet the fleet stretched across the stars, silent and perfect. Vera's voice shook over comms. "He's been building it, in their shipyards, in their shadows, right under their Emperor's throne." The truth burned bright. Humanity hadn't returned with a single operative. They had returned with an entire fleet, hidden in plain sight, waiting for the storm's command. And the galaxy would never be the same. From the edge of Orion's rift, the warlords advanced. Thousands of ships, patched together from Empire wreckage, surged in unified formation. "They've set aside centuries of blood feuds," Vera muttered. "Hatred of us is stronger." Holodisplays flared red as the Coalition's sheer scale eclipsed the stars. Kale tightened his grip on the command rail. "Let them come." Behind him, humanity's hidden fleet spread its wings. Sleek vessels born from alien forges but carrying Terra's code in their hearts. It would be the first true clash, galaxy against Earth, and the void itself would decide who endured. The first volleys lit Orion's rift in fire. Alien Coalition cannons thundered, tearing into human cruisers, scattering debris like blood in the water. "Hold formation," Kale roared as shockwaves rattled the Odyssey. Yet even as casualties mounted, humanity's fleet moved as one. Fluid, surgical, precise. Then the storm struck. Enemy dreadnoughts froze mid-charge, their reactors whispering with human code. Entire lines collapsed without a shot being fired. "He's inside them already," Sarah whispered in awe. The operative fought not with guns alone, but with the Empire's own heartbeat. Every battle was a symphony, and he was its conductor. On every channel, the operative's voice whispered, sometimes in the enemy's tongue, sometimes in humanity's. You fight ghosts. You fight inevitability. Warlords raged as their fleets betrayed them, weapons turning inward. One screamed across the void, "Show yourself, human!" A single figure appeared on Coalition holofeeds, scarred, armored, human. "I am here," he said simply. No name, no title, only presence. The warlords had demanded an enemy of flesh. Instead, they saw a storm that walked in human skin, eyes burning with something far beyond mortal patience. One warlord, more cunning than the rest, unveiled forbidden technology. A null field, a weapon that silenced code, blocking the storm's whispers. "At last," he growled, "we fight on equal ground." Human ships stumbled as sabotage networks flickered out. For the first time, the storm's voice went silent. Kale's chest tightened. "He's cut off." The human fleet fought tooth and nail, stripped of its invisible shield. Plasma fire raked across their hulls, burning through cruisers. Yet deep in the silence, Kale felt something stir. The storm wasn't gone, it was waiting. And silence had never been enough to kill Terra. The null field expanded, swallowing star systems. For a heartbeat, the Coalition believed. Then the void screamed. Human ships flared with sudden light, drives igniting with impossible speed. Alien dreadnoughts, immune to sabotage, still shattered under volleys too precise, too ruthless. "He adapted," Vera gasped. "He doesn't need their code anymore." Across the battlefield, the storm's face appeared once more. Eyes burning brighter, voice harsher, less human. Terra does not yield. Terra learns. The null field crumbled under its own strain, and the Coalition's war horns died in silence. Kyle shuddered, realization gnawing at him. The operative wasn't just surviving, he was becoming something new, something built to outlast empires. The fleet's victory over the Coalition rang hollow. On the Odyssey's bridge, silence lingered long after the last alien wreck burned out. "We didn't win," Sarah whispered. "He did." Kale said nothing, but the thought pressed heavily on his chest. Humanity's ships had become instruments, not commanders. Across the fleet, murmurs spread. Who was he now? A man? A weapon? A storm in flesh? The Council had lost contact years ago. His voice commanded alien systems, alien soldiers. Now even human fleets bent unconsciously toward his will. Kale's gut twisted. What if Terra's greatest victory birthed something they could no longer control? Admiral Vera demanded answers. Encrypted queries raced back to Earth, but the Council responded with silence. "They know," she muttered, pacing her ready room. "They've known since the beginning." The operative had been left as a joke, yet his shadow stretched farther than even Earth's leaders dared admit. One message finally arrived, a single phrase, burned into the channel in raw human code. "Do not recall him." Vera stared at the words until her hands shook. The Council wasn't trying to control the storm. They were terrified of it. Rhinell overheard her officers whisper in the mess. "What if he turns on us?" one muttered. "We follow orders now, but does he even remember he's human?" The room fell silent when they noticed her, but the fear was real, alive, unspoken. Soldiers who once cheered Terra Invicta now muttered it like a curse. Later, alone on the bridge, Rhinell admitted the truth aloud. "He could unmake us the same way he unmade them." For a moment, she almost envied the Empire. At least they knew who their enemy was. Humanity's storm was harder to define, and far harder to resist. Kale dreamed of him. Eyes like burning stars, gaze cutting through steel. When he woke, the dream lingered. "Sir," Sarah whispered, pale, "he appeared on our comms last night. Not just to you, to the crew, to all of us." The storm's face had filled every screen, watching, silent as though measuring them. Kale's skin crawled. "He's not just commanding fleets," he said quietly. "He's watching us, testing us." The bridge crew exchanged uneasy glances. Was it guidance or surveillance? Humanity had always prided itself on free command. Now, even that felt like an illusion beneath his gaze. The hidden fleet expanded. Every battle left behind more ships, more stations, more infrastructure, quietly folded into Terra's banners. "He's building something," Vera whispered as her holomap filled with human-controlled sectors. "Not for us. For him." On the throne world's ruins, new signals pulsed. Not alien, not human, but something between. A hybrid code that sang with eerie harmony. Kale read the transmission once, twice before whispering, "He's rewriting us." The galaxy had feared the storm's wrath. Now, humanity feared his shadow. In the Council's war chambers, voices clashed like steel. "He's winning us the galaxy," one admiral argued. "We'd be fools to stop him." Another slammed a fist. "He isn't winning it for us. He's building his own empire." Silence followed. For the first time, Earth's leaders weren't united. A single question split the chamber. Was the storm Terra's savior or Terra's replacement? No answer came. Only the echo of his whisper, still bouncing across the stars, "Terra Invicta." Some heard hope, others heard chains. On the Odyssey, Sarah confronted Kale. "If he asks for our fleet directly, will you give it to him?" Kale hesitated too long. That pause was answer enough. Some officers saw him as a herald of Earth's destiny. Others saw a tyrant in the making. The ship itself began to divide. Mess halls grew tense, whispers sharp. Crews branded themselves storm loyalists or loyal to Earth. Fights broke out. Kyle could feel the fracture deepening. They had won battles against empires, yet now humanity's greatest threat came from within. Doubt tearing at their unity like rot. Far from the chaos, alien survivors gathered at the ruins of Kellar Prime. Warlords who had once sworn vengeance now whispered in hushed tones. They could not fight the storm with fleets, but perhaps they could with faith. "We will burn ourselves," one declared. To burn him, too. A weapon was revealed, ancient, forbidden, fueled by their dying suns. A starbreaker. One strike could erase entire sectors, a storm included. Better ashes than chains, the warlords agreed. Desperation forged their unity. They would not win the galaxy, but they could deny it to Terra's storm. Whispers of the Starbreaker reached Earth. Vera slammed her palm against the holomap. "If they fire that thing, we lose half the frontier." The Council's response was chilling. "Let them. Perhaps it takes fire to stop him." For some, the storm was more dangerous than the weapon itself. Kale felt his gut twist. Earth might allow a strike that could destroy millions of its own people, if it meant containing one man. Humanity had always feared the alien threat. Now, its leaders feared their own creation more. The storm appeared again on their comms. No words, only silence, only those burning eyes. Kale felt the weight in his bones. "He knows," Sarah whispered, "about the Starbreaker, about Earth's doubt." The storm's gaze lingered, unreadable. Was it a warning or promise? Above the ruined throne world, fleets gathered. Human loyalists, human doubters, alien warlords. The stage was set. Kale exhaled, heart pounding. "This isn't war anymore," he muttered. "It's a reckoning, for all of us." And the storm waited, patient as the void, for the first move. In the shadow of the throne world's ruins, fleets converged. human loyalists under Terra's banner, human doubters clinging to Earth's command. Alien warlords wield desperation like a blade. This is no longer a strategy, Vera whispered on her bridge. This is theology. Each side believed survival meant obedience to their truth. Kale's hands tightened on the rail. Below them, the storm stood upon the shattered throne, silent, watching. He wasn't giving orders. He was waiting, letting the galaxy decide whether to kneel or burn. The first volleys of plasma fire cracked the silence, and war ignited like dry tinder. Human ship fired on human ship, loyalist against doubter. Odyssey's sensors screamed with betrayals Kale could barely stomach. "We're killing our own," Sarah gasped. Sparks rained from consoles as once united crews tore each other apart. The galaxy's oldest wound had come home, humanity's own division. Amidst the chaos, alien fleets surged with wild fervor. Their target was not Earth, not Kale's fleet, but the storm itself. Kale's throat tightened as dreadnoughts dove toward the throne world. "They're going to unleash it," he whispered. "The Starbreaker." Kalar's star flared unnaturally, its light bending, condensing into a spear of annihilation. Alien warlords screamed their battle chants as the Starbreaker fired, its power ripping reality itself. Vera's eyes widened. They've lit the sun against him. No weapon forged by man or empire had ever burned so bright. The storm did not flinch. As the wave of stellar fire raced outward, human fleets scattered in panic. Kale shouted orders, but even slipstream drives couldn't outrun a dying star. For one heartbeat, the galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath. Amid the oncoming blaze, the storm raised his hands. Systems across thousands of ships pulsed with alien-human hybrid code. Shields flared, bending, weaving, forming a lattice against the Starbreaker's wrath. "That's not possible," Sarah whispered. The fire struck, and the lattice held. But Kale saw it then. The storm's face twisted, body shuddering with inhuman resonance. He wasn't just a man anymore. He was a conduit, part flesh, part machine, part something else. "He's absorbing it," Kale breathed. The star had died, and in its death, it had crowned him. When the fire cleared, the fleets beheld him, alive, unburned, radiant. Energy bled from his armor, flowing like rivers into Terra's ships. Systems rebooted. Weapons hummed with new power. "He's turned the star into fuel," Vera whispered. "Into us." The galaxy had thrown its greatest weapon against him, and instead of breaking, he had become something greater. No longer merely operative, no longer merely a storm. He was Invictus, the unyielding. And as his voice thundered across every channel, both human and alien alike trembled. Terra Invicta. The fleets surged forward, shields burning with the stolen star's light. "They're unstoppable," Sarah whispered as human warships carved through alien lines like fire through parchment. Every cannon blast carried Invictus's will. Kale felt it in his bones. They weren't fighting under him. They were fighting through him. On alien channels, panic gave way to horror. "He consumes suns," one warlord cried. "He is not a man. He is void." But Invictus answered only with silence, his gaze fixed forward, leading the march across broken systems. Humanity followed, willingly or not. With reason gone, the alien coalition turned to zeal. "Better to die burning than bow to him," their leaders cried. Fleets rammed human cruisers in suicidal fury, detonating cores to rip holes in the void. The battlefield became a graveyard of fire and wreckage. Kale's bridge shook under the chain of detonations. "They'd rather erase themselves than live in his shadow," he muttered. Sarah's face was pale. "Then maybe they're the lucky ones." Kale had no answer. Across secure channels, the Council finally spoke. "This is no longer acceptable. Terminate him, or Terra itself will turn its fleets against you." Kale stared at the transmission, hands trembling. Earth had feared aliens once. Now it feared its own creation. Vera slammed her fist into the console. Terminate him? With what? They don't understand. He's not killable anymore. Silence lingered. For the first time, humanity's greatest battle wasn't with the galaxy, but with its own will to endure Invictus. Human fleets fractured mid-battle. Some obeyed Earth's command, turning weapons on Invictus's armada. Others stood with him, unwilling to betray the storm that had delivered them victory after victory. The void, filled with the unthinkable human against human, brother against brother in a war of belief. Kale's heart cracked as the Odyssey came under fire from another human cruiser. "We're tearing ourselves apart," Sarah whispered, tears in her eyes. Kale's voice was hollow. "Not we. Earth did this. Earth chose fear over destiny." Then his voice cut through every frequency, silencing the chaos. "You divide yourselves. You cling to chains. But I am not your master. I am your mirror." For the first time, there was something almost human in his tone. Pain, memory, a wound that never healed. The fleets froze. Even the alien warlords stopped, listening to a man who was no longer a man. "You left me as a joke," he whispered. "I endured. I bled. I became. And now I stand, not for council, not for crown, but for Terra, eternal." His words carried across the stars, undeniable. Terra Invicta. The Council armed their last weapon. Project Cerberus, a failsafe built long ago, buried in Earth's deep core. "If Invictus cannot be killed," their message declared, "then the world that birthed him will end him." The weapon's signal pulsed through the void, aimed at the throne world. Kale's blood ran cold as readings spiked. Planet Buster yield. No warning, no hesitation. Earth wasn't just trying to kill Invictus. They were ready to erase him along with every loyal fleet. Sarah's voice cracked. "They'd burn all of us to make sure he dies." Alien warlords, their faith boiling into desperation, hurled everything left at the human lines. Kamikaze fleets, planetary detonations. Entire moons were dragged from orbit to crush Invictus. The galaxy's last monarchs were choosing self-annihilation over submission. Invictus moved like a force of nature. Shields bent moons. Weapons vaporized continents mid-flight. Each strike fed his aura of inevitability. Watching from the Odyssey, Kale whispered the thought no one dared voice. "He doesn't need us anymore." But then the storm faltered. Not in strength, but in silence. He stared across the burning void at humanity's fractured fleets, their doubt, their fear, their endless hunger for control. His armor flickered. For an instant, Kale thought he saw the man beneath, scarred and weary. "He's remembering," Sarah breathed. "Not power, not war, but what he was before." Kale's heart clenched. If he breaks now, he thought, we all burn. Earth's failsafe fired. A pulse lanced across slipspace, invisible, silent, until it erupted inside Invictus's fleets. Ships convulsed as systems fried, reactors cascaded, and crews screamed into nothing. The Council had unleashed a weapon older than the storm itself. Human treachery. Kale's ship trembled under the wave, half its decks plunging into darkness. Vera cursed, ripping open conduits with her bare hands. "They've killed us," she spat. "Not the aliens, not the void. Earth." The storm staggered, light flickering as the failsafe tore at his essence. But then his eyes burned bright, his voice ablaze across the galaxy. "You think you are my jailers, but I was never yours to command." Across every surviving ship, alien or human, systems rebooted under his will. Kale watched in awe as Invictus overrode even Earth's weapon, rewriting the failsafe into fuel. For the first time, Kale understood. This wasn't chance, or accident, or survival. This had always been his design. The alien empire lay in ruins, its banners burning across broken stars. And in the silence, Invictus stood, not as conqueror, but as something greater. He stepped onto the shattered dais of the throne world, his figure alone against the ruined skyline. Kale's voice was hushed as he watched the broadcast ripple across every frequency. "He's not taking power," he whispered. "He's gaining power." Invictus raised a hand, and fleets bent to his will like shadows to flame. The council panicked. "If he ascends, Terra itself becomes irrelevant," they raged. Their solution was unthinkable: the Scorched Protocol. Detonate Earth's planetary core to deny him his origin forever. Burn Terra. Burn history. Burn hope. Sarah's scream echoed on the bridge. "They'll kill our home, our families, everything we are." Kale felt his heart fracture. Earth wasn't just turning on Invictus now, it was turning on humanity itself. Invictus's voice cut through every channel, not as a tyrant but as a man stripped bare. "They left me as a jest. I endured their cruelty, and yet I did not rise for vengeance. I rose because I remembered what Terra once was, a spark no empire could kill." Kale felt the words hammer his soul. Invictus wasn't enslaving. He was reminding. For the first time, Kale wondered if the storm wasn't the monster, if Earth itself had become the true enemy. The fleet fractured deeper. Some captains pledged themselves fully to Invictus, kneeling even as stars burned around them. Others clung to Earth's command, desperate to preserve the old order. The void filled with dueling banners, Terra Invicta against Terra's council. On the Odyssey, Sarah looked at Kale with hollow eyes. "We can't stand in the middle much longer. Either we follow him, or we kill him." Kale clenched his jaw. Both paths felt like betrayal. Then came the revelation. Invictus reached into the wreckage of the throne world, and the ground itself trembled. Beneath the alien citadel, long hidden, lay a vault older than the empire itself, built by human hands. The sight froze Kale's blood. That's ours." Ancient steel glimmered beneath alien stone, bearing Earth's lost insignia. Sarah whispered in awe, "We were here before them, before all of this. Humanity wasn't erased. It was buried." Beneath the throne world, the ancient vault pulsed with energy. Kale's jaw tightened as he scanned the alien-forged architecture, overlaid with human symbols older than any record. This was never theirs. It was ours. Invictus stepped forward, hand brushing the steel. Systems hummed, doors opening into a cathedral of forgotten tech. "This is what Terra always carried," he whispered. "Not fleets, not weapons, a promise, and promises to endure beyond fear." The storm was no longer merely operative, no longer merely man. He was history incarnate. Earth's final protocol activated. Planetary cores flared, weapons locked, fleets under blind command raced toward the throne world. "Do it," the council ordered. "Erase him. Erase the vault. Erase the threat." Kale watched helplessly as human warships, brothers and sisters, prepared to annihilate the very cradle of their civilization. "We're about to lose ourselves," Sarah muttered. The storm did not flinch. He waited, silent as the void. As the council's weapons fired, the vault absorbed the energy. Aliens and humans alike faltered, systems freezing mid-command. Invictus raised his voice, resonant, unbroken. "You can destroy worlds, but you cannot destroy will." The blast twisted, bending into the vault's lattice. Humanity's fleet hung suspended, powerless, as the storm's aura spread outward like wildfire. Kale realized the truth. Invictus had not just survived Earth's strike, he had rewritten it. Fleets reeled, alien survivors panicked, human loyalists faltered. Invictus moved across the throne world, barefoot through fire and shattered steel. Kale's hands shook. "He's unstoppable," he whispered. "Not a man, not a weapon. Something else entirely." His voice carried through every channel, a single, terrifying note of certainty. "All that Terra built, all that Terra lost, I am the reckoning. Stand with me or stand aside. The choice is yours, galaxy." Stars seemed to bend to the sound. The galaxy fell silent. Every ship, every world, every soldier heard the words. Not a threat, not a command, an eternal truth. Invictus raised his hand, and fleets obeyed without hesitation. Even Earth paused, awestruck and terrified. Kale watched, finally understanding. Humanity had not sent a spy, not a soldier, not a fleet. They had sent inevitability. One man, one storm, one will be unbound. And across the stars the whisper returned, final, unshakable. Terra Invicta. The end. Thank you for watching AstroMyths. If you enjoyed this story, smash that like button and subscribe for more epic sci-fi tales, cosmic mysteries, and mind-bending myths. And if you like this story, or have a myth, mystery, or galaxy you'd like us to explore, drop your ideas in the comments. We're always listening. Until next time, keep your eyes on the stars and your mind open to the unknown.